Hello and blessings to you. In this video, we'll cover chapter 24, which is the hiphil verb pattern. So far we've done the cow, which is our normal, and it's also called the put-all. Let me write that. So the put-all pattern. We've done the p-ale pattern in chapter 23. And now in chapter 24, we're looking at the hiphil pattern. Okay, first, let's do some of this oral review. Okay, so Ma eshlak la Abraham lema'an yeshalak et ha-avedim. What will I send? So we have a first person singular imperfect. We know that from this aleph. So will I send? So really I will send, but this what we know is making it a question, so we kind of invert the words there a little. So what will I send to Abraham, lema'an, in order that yeshalak. So this might at first look like a cow imperfect verb, but we see this dagesh here in the middle of the second root letter, and that lets us know that this is actually a p-ale. So here we have a pl imperfect 3ms form. So he will set free ha-avadim, the servants or the slaves. So altogether we have what will I send to Abraham in order that he will set free the slaves. Okay, then we have Tishlak lo zahav uvehemot la ma'an yishlak et ha'avedim. So you will send to him. So here we have our pronominal suffix 3ms on our preposition lamed. So to him. You will send to him gold and cattles. So really maybe animals would be a better translation here. Gold and animals in order that, and then we basically have the same words at the end here, in order that he will set free the slaves. Okay, let's do the second one too. Ha tabakesh et ishtaka baveteka. Okay, so this here we see we have our interrogative hey, classic hey hatef patak right here. So this is super easy to recognize with that. So if we take that off, so we know it's a question now. If we take that off, we get tabakesh. So we know that this is imperfect of bakash. Our pl you can see with the dagesh there, but it's just naturally in the pl. So it's to seek. Right, so here we have a second person imperfect masculine singular verb with a question on it. So here we have you will seek, so then it becomes will you seek, as we invert those words in English to make a question. So will you seek, now we have our direct object marker, so we know that what is being sought will come next. So will you seek ishtaka? So we see this pronominal suffix at the end, so this is your, so will you seek your, and then we have ishet, which, if you remember, verbs that end in hey will sometimes turn into a tav in a word pair form, right? And so when you attach a pronominal suffix, it's to the word pair form, and so it becomes this tav. So really we're looking for maybe isha, wife or woman. So your woman, your wife. Will you seek your wife? Baveteka. So in, here we have another pronominal suffix, your, and then bait or bait, house. So will you seek your wife in your house? So a lot going on there, but we have the tools to kind of break it down now. So this is pretty good. Here we have now an imperfect. We have an aleph, which tips us off that this is a first common singular imperfect of the same verb up here. So I will seek ota. So at first glance, might not recognize this word, but it's the pronominal suffix. So so we know that's her. I will seek her. And then this et, or ot in this case, remember our direct object marker when suffixed with a pronominal suffix takes that o vowel now. So this is a direct object marker with pronominal suffix, so her. I will seek her, basade, in the field, kihi, because she, yatsa, went out, so perfect tense here. Lishmor, to guard. Here we have an infinitive. We can tell by this shava holon that this is an infinitive form, and we even have the lamed in front of it. So lishmor. So she, well, let's back up here. Because she went out to guard et hatzon. So again, direct object marker, and then the flock. So I will seek her in the field because she went out to guard the flock. All right, let's move on to our vocab. So in this chapter, we'll have a lot of verbs and then some other stuff down here at the end. So here we have chazak is grasp or strengthen. Notice those are kind of two different meanings, and we'll learn in a second when those meanings apply. Okay. Then we have lavash, which is to put on or wear. But in the hiphil, this becomes to cause to wear, clothe, or dress. And we'll go over all of the difference of the hiphil in a second, and this will become a little more clear. I just want to kind of touch it on as we go through this vocab as well. So here we have malak in the pa'al, so we already know this is rule or reign. In the hiphil, this becomes cause to rule or make ruler or even crown. Avar, so this is crossover or pass in the pa'al. In the hiphil, this becomes cause to cross over or even transfer. We have amad, which is stand, and in the hiphil we have cause to stand or erect. Here we have shalak, which is only in the hiphil, and it just means to throw. Notice that this looks similar and sounds similar to another verb you know, shalak, but this has a chet and this has a kaf. Okay, so do not make sure that you know the difference between these. So this is send or set free, and shalak is throw. Okay. Then we have shema, which is hear or listen in the pa'al, or the cow. We call it both ways. And in the hiphil, it is cause to hear or announce. Okay. Now we have some more kind of regular vocab words. You'll notice Most of these, with the exception of shalak and chazak, I think that we've had before. So we've had lavash, malak, avar, amad, shema. So the vocab in this section should be pretty easy to get down because there's not a whole lot of these in this chapter. Let's look at the rest of these though. So we have achar, acharet, acharim, acharot. And this is other or another. Then we have lama, which means why. So we know that ma is a question, just like we actually had up here. Ma means what. Lama, if you were to guess, you could kind of see this is the preposition lamed, to or for, and then ma. So what? So for what? Now for what really just means why. So for what are you doing that? For what purpose are you doing that? Would be why are you doing that? So should be kind of easy to put this together. Then we have mavet or mot in the word pair form, and that means death. So Jonah saying, my death, moti, my death is better than my life. Or literally, my death is good from my life, is what he says. Here we have misfar. Misfar means number or amount. Okay, and you can see this comes from our verb safar, to count, or really just count, rather. And it has a mem in front of it, which we saw in the PL. Mem kind of signifies a participle, and actually in the hiphil and several other stems as well, this mem is a participle. So this signifies a participle. So this kind of is a participle form of safar. So it's like counting, or the counting thing, or something like that. So if it's a noun, the counting thing, the counting one, perhaps is a number or an amount. Maybe even the counted number or amount. Although that would be a passive voice. But anyways, this comes from safar, which is to count, and it's misfar, which is a number or amount. The last one should be pretty apparent if you read it out loud. Shabbat, Shabbatot, Shabbat. Shabbat is Sabbath. Okay, let's talk about chazak for a second. So it is used in other patterns, but in these authors, they all will only use it in the hiphil for us. So through this book, that will make it kind of easy for you. And it means to grasp or to strengthen. Now, when we use it as grasp, it will be followed by another word with a bait in front of it. Okay, so here's an example. Hu sorry, chazik ba beged. So he grasped. Maybe, so we don't translate the in here when it's used like this. So literally we might have like he strengthened the garment, or he strengthened in the garment, he grasped in the garment, but then we'll translate it as he grasped the garment, and we'll just ignore the bait in on among. Hu hechazik bo, he grasped it. So here we have that bait preposition again with a pronominal suffix, 3ms. So he or it. And if we're ignoring the in, we'll just say it. He grasped it. Okay? Now, when it means strengthen, it will usually be followed by our direct object marker et. So, hu hechazik et ha'am. He strengthened the nation, or the people. Hu hechazik oto. So, he strengthened it. So again, now we have our direct object marker with the pronominal suffix 3ms. So he or it, and in this case, we're going to say it. Okay. So lavash is a pa'al verb as well, and you can check on page 370, 371, 374 of our spelling chart. So 374, here's lavash right here in the infinitive commands and participles. Let's see if we can find it in some of these other ones as well. Here we go. Here's in the perfect on 371. Here's the imperfect on 370. Okay. So another note from the authors, they're helping us know that shalach should not be confused with shalach, that we've learned in the pa'al and the pl, and they are not related. Okay, so let's talk about the meaning of our hiphil pattern. Okay, so we've already learned the pa'al, or the cow, which is our simple kind of meaning. So he heard, he walked, he whatever have you. She ruled, they listened, I don't know. But so that's just kind of our simple pattern. And then the PL, which is our intensification pattern. So maybe they really heard, or she really went. It's like intense. Okay. Now, the next pattern we're learning is this hiphil pattern, and it has a causative meaning. So to make or to cause. So when we translate it, we'll translate it either with make or cause, or sometimes we might even have other words that kind of have that sense that we'll kind of switch out to. Okay, so let's kind of look at how this plays out. So here are some verbs that we've learned. Here they are in the pa'al, or the cow. I'll again just put this here just to keep it fresh on our mind. So the pa'al, or the cow, and then here it is in the hiphil. So in the pa'al, we have bo, which would be come. In the hiphil, it would be cause to come, and if you cause something to come, it is you're bringing it. Okay, we have know in the pa'al, and in the hiphil, know, you cause to know something, you are announcing it. You are causing them to know, so you are announcing it to them. Okay. Then we have yalad, which is give birth to or beget, right? In the pa'al, in the cow, it kind of has the same sense, but maybe switching who is the actor, I guess. Perhaps maybe a wife will give birth to, and a husband will cause the wife to have a child. But both of them kind of have this sense of beget, right? Then we have yatsa, which would be go out or go forth. And in the hiphil, if you cause to go out or go forth, you are bringing it out. We have yorad, which is go down or descend. And if you cause something to go down or descend, you might be lowering it. We have lavash, which is to put on or wear. And if you cause to wear, you are clothing that person or dressing that person. So clothe or dress. We have mat, which is dye. And then we have, in the hiphil, if you cause someone to die, you are killing that person. You kill. So cause to die is kill. Should be pretty obvious. Then we have malak, rule or reign. If you cause to rule, you are making that person a ruler or crowning. So crown king, perhaps. Avar, crossover. If you cause something to cross over, you are transferring it. Amad, stand. If you cause something to stand, perhaps you cause a building to stand or a tower to stand, you are erecting that building or tower. Kum is to get up, and if you cause something to get up, kind of maybe in a metaphorical sense, you are establishing it. So if you cause a kingdom to arise, for instance, you are establishing the kingdom. Shuv, we have return, and if you cause something to return, you are bringing it back. Shema is hear, and if you cause to hear, you are announcing. Notice the similarity between yada and shema. So if you cause someone to know something, you are announcing it or proclaiming it. And if you cause someone to hear something, you are also announcing or proclaiming it. Okay, so just pointing out, not all verbs are in every pattern. And so some of the verbs that we've learned in the pa'al or pl do not appear in the hiphil. And others are just rare, and so the authors aren't going to mess with them. Okay, so some verbs, vice versa, I guess, appear in the hiphil and not in the pa'al or pl. And so an example of that is one we just learned in this chapter, shalak, throw. Okay, let's take a closer look at the hiphil and what it will look like. Okay, so we're going to use our verb malak to rule or reign, cause to rule, crown, right? So let's see what it looks like in the perfect tense. I'm going to read these out loud, line by line, like this. Okay, so here we have malakti in the pa'al becomes himlakti. Malakta, himlakta. Malakt, himlakt. Malak, himlik. Malka, himlika. Malaknu, himlaknu. Malaktim, himlaktim. Malaktin, himlaktin. Malku, himliku. Malku, himliku. Okay, notice, of course, the most obvious is that every verb in the perfect pattern, in the perfect tense of the hiphil pattern, begins with a hey hirik. So that's pretty distinctive already. Notice also the endings are the same that we've already learned for the pa'al and the pl. Okay? And then our third person forms between the second and third root letters have a hirik yod. Okay? So this hey hirik at the beginning, and especially in the third person forms, these hirik yods are very distinctive to the hiphil. Okay? Let's see these notes the author wants to let us know. So we already talked about that first one. So the hey will typically take a heuric in the regular verb patterns. So our irregular ones can look a little different, okay? But this hey will still be there. We talked about that. In the third person forms, the heuric yod between the second and third root letters. And then, yeah, so we covered all that. Okay, let's move on to the imperfect tense, right? So, first we have emlok in the pa'al, amlik, teamlok, tamlik, teamlaki, tamliki, yimlok, yamlik, teamlok, tamlik, neemlok, namlik, teamlaku, tamliku, teamlokana, tamlekana, teamlokna, tamlekna. Yimlaku, yamliku, teamlokna, tamlekna. Okay, so couple things to notice about this. Our signal letters out on the beginning of the imperfect are the same, so that's nice. You'll be able to recognize the imperfect pretty easily still. The difference here, though, where we are wanting to look for this hey and it's not there. Instead, what we have is a pretty distinctive pattern of heuric yod between the second and third root letters. So amlik, tamlik, tamliki, yamlik, tamlik. Okay, so pretty distinctive heuric yod pattern here. And it goes all through except for our plural feminine forms. They do not have our heuric yod. Good news is plural feminine forms are more uncommon than the rest of the forms, but you might also be able to notice a difference with this patak here and a tsere here instead of a O class vowel and a heuric that is normal in the pa'al or the cow form. Okay, let's look at these notes. So yeah, we've just talked about this heuric yod in between the second and third root letters. The hey does not appear in the imperfect, which is a little unfortunate. And the signal letters are the same as what we've already learned in the pa'al and the pl. Okay, so let's move on to the participle. Here we have molek, mamlik, moleket, mamleket, molkin, mamlikin, molkot, mamlikot. Okay, we'll notice that each of the participial forms begin with a mem, much like they did in the pl, begin with a mem, and actually many forms that are participles begin with a mem. And actually, I think we just talked about that in our vocab, didn't we? So this mem is a pretty common participle identifier. So here, in particular, we have a mem patak instead of a mem shava in the pl in chapter 23. And in most of our forms, we have a heuric yod between the second and third root letters. So this should be a pretty easy identifier for you then that this is the hiphil. And you can even see it in the word hiphil. Here's our heuric yod right there. So that should help you identify that. So yeah, there's that. And then our hey does not appear here because instead we get our mem. Okay, so commands, if you remember, our command forms are the imperfect forms without signal letters. So here we have malok, meliki, here we have melik, meliki, and you'll see that's what we get here. So here we have malok, here we have malek. The difference here is going to be we do get our hey in the command form because nothing else prefixes in the command. So you can see in general the reason why we lose this hey is because these have other prefixes. We have our signal letters in the imperfect and this mem in the participle. So the hey does appear in the command form, and so the endings, though, are going to be the same as in the PL and the PAL. Okay, and we have a distinctive patak here in the command form. So it's same patak that we have in the mem of the participle. So really, what I should have done is kind of come up with a list of these kind of distinctive marks of the hiphil. So we have our hiric yod, we have our mem patak in the participle, and then we have our hey in general, but our hey patak specifically in the command form. Okay. You'll also notice two of these command forms do have our stem vowel between the second and third root letters, our hiric yod, but not the singular masculine or the plural feminine. Excuse me. And we kind of saw this one coming, didn't we, with the imperfect form not having that hiric yod, the imperfect plural feminine forms not having that. So, okay. Well, let's talk about the infinitive. So with the infinitive, we have malok, and the pa'al, we have hamlik, limlok, lahamlik. Okay, so notice again, we keep our hey, even in the face of a preposition, we'll keep our hey, and we'll have a hiric yod in our regular infinitive or infinitive construct, but in our infinitive of emphasis, which is called the infinitive absolute, we do not have that hiric yod, and instead we get a sere. And actually this sere, as we'll see, I think in the next chapter, will sometimes take the place of this hiric yod with irregular type things. Okay, so notes from the author, we do keep our hey, we get the hiric yod in the infinitive construct, not the infinitive absolute though, and we can use all of our prepositions with the infinitive construct, and it will keep the hey. Okay, so just kind of a summary. Hiphil is a causative sense to our verb, so we might say cause or make as we translate it. You'll be able to recognize the hiphil by the hey that precedes it in most of its forms, or a hiric yod in between the last two root letters, and a lot of times both. So these are very distinctive of the hiphil, and you even see that in the name hiphil, right? So just kind of a note, every pattern still has both the imperfect and perfect tenses, and the signal letters remain the same in all the patterns. So now that we know our signal letters, actually I can just go down. Now that we know our signal letters, like the ending ones in the perfect and the beginning ones in the perfect, those will carry us through all the patterns. So that is nice. The exception is the mem of the participle. which appears in many patterns, including the p'al and hiphil, just not the pa'al, or the cal pattern. So the mem of the participle is not there. And actually, I'd like you to kind of commit this to memory, that mem kind of tips you off in a verbal form that it is a participle. Just not in our regular pattern, the pa'al pattern. Okay, then just telling you that these verbs follow the same patterns as malak that we've been talking about, and if you want to look at them, you can go to page 78, 79, or sorry, 378, 379, and 380. So back in the back of the book. So here is our hiphil imperfect, so I guess I can go down, find that. So here are hiphil verbs, right? Okay, I'm not going to go through this chart because we've basically gone through this chart through the whole chapter. I do encourage you to read through this chart many, many times. Kind of get a sense for the rhythm of the hiphil. Hishlakti, hishlakta, hishlakt, hishlik. If you say this to yourself out loud over and over again, it really will help you remember our hiphil pattern. Okay, and hopefully seeing this all in one place, you're able to recognize some of the things we've been talking about. Right. So, last thing, and then we'll be done with this chapter. And it's just some sentences, which actually I've just noticed we haven't gone through any kind of examples throughout this whole chapter. So here's some examples here. Let's see if this is anything important. No, just saying that hiphil follows the same verbal rules as everything else, but that should be obvious because it's a verbal pattern. So here we have hu hishlik aven. So he, it's our pronoun. We might see, well, so this verb only, we've only learned this verb in the hiphil, and so we know this is hiphil, but still we're tipped off that it's hiphil because of this hey in the beginning, and even the hirik, and then this hirik yod between the second and third root letters. Okay, so hu hishlik evan, he threw a stone. Hema yamliku et David. They, here we have an imperfect. We have the signal letter out here. And we even know that it's a third person masculine imperfect because of the ending in the signal letter here. A plural ending. So 3MP imperfect. That leaves us with our root letters mem, lamed, kaf, right? You might wonder, what about this yod? How do you know that's not a root letter? Well, it's not a letter in itself, it's actually a vowel letter right here. And so we're including it with this hirik, not with the root letters. Okay, so that leaves us with malak, which we know as rule or reign. This hirik yod here tells us that this is a hiphil imperfect. So this is they will cause to rule, or they will crown. So they will crown David. And last we have Eshmiya et Devar Hamelech. So that gives us a imperfect. We know that this is a first common singular imperfect because of the aleph. So then we can identify the root letters as shin, mem, ayin. So shema, so hear, listen, obey. And this hirik yod tells us that this is the hiphil. So eshmiya, I will hear, well, so I will cause to hear. So I will cause to hear, or I will announce. So I will announce the word of the king. So I will announce the word of the king. Well, that's it for this chapter. Blessings to you. Have a great day.